everybody, my name is Farmer Phil, and in today's video, this is this year's diet feeding video, and this is what we are feeding our finishing cattle this year, which is a fully self-sufficient diet for the first time ever here, with the exception of minerals. Minerals is the item we're buying at the minute, but everything else that we're feeding our cattle has been produced on the farm. So just here beside the Waynelands, eating a bit of silage. So first job in this video is pushing in and seeing how much food everyone has left from yesterday's feeding, so we can kind of work out how much we need to feed everyone. And there's one barrier that needs to be cleaned out. So yeah, we get stuck into it, we get pushing in with the telling. Pushing in done now, so we start feeding. So as you've seen there, the last bit I done was I shoved out one barrier. So when we're feeding, it's like a balancing act. You're always trying to make sure that all the pens of cattle have some food in front of them when you go to feed them again, but not a lot. So they're always in between running out and not running out. Because if you have a lot there and you feed a lot the next day, and before you know it, you have a pile of rotten stuff in the bottom that's no good to eat, and you have to clean it out. But what I done there was every 2 weeks or so we'd feed the cattle a good bit less, maybe 3/4 of a feed, to let them fully run out on the barrier, and then we just push out whatever muck is there, clean the barrier out, let them go again. So that's what I was doing there. So I'm going to take off this bucket somewhere out of the way, just have to strip the maize bit and pond the shear bucket, and then we're ready to start feeding. Liv will be coming in eventually, as she was editing a video, look after our small stock, moving the cattle on the rape, and then she comes and does the diet feed. So I find somewhere to take off this bucket out of the way. We get stuck into it. So we are in the schaffer now. Yes, we still have it. Have we bought it? No, we just have it on an extended demo, is probably the best way of putting it. So as you've seen there, shear grab's on the schaffer, or Wiley shear grab is on. And I have oats and beans put into the diet feeder. First diet feeder goes into our Waynelands, so that's the ones that's on the rape, and also the heifers that's in the shed. So we split it in two, so we are packed full diet feeder over about 2.2 ton in it, literally till it starts spewing, and then we pour it in. So we pour about a ton, yeah, it's about a ton or 1200 kilos into the bull Waynelands that's on the rape, and then they get bales of silage and a bale of hay then as well, and then the rest goes into the heifers in the other shed, and works out quite nice. We have our diet feeders cut back in other years now. We have 5 diet feeders going in, and I remember 9 diet feeders going in 1 year, so it's not too bad. So in this diet feeder for the Waynelands, we put one grab a whole crop, because I'd say we're going to have some whole crop over the way things are looking at the minute. So when we think we have that bit extra to give Waynelands, we'll give it to them, because whatever we give them, you'll get it back out of them. And our Waynelands are looking probably the heaviest I've ever seen. There's some very, very big boys there, so we're quite happy with them. But until we weigh them when they're going back out the grass, we won't know. I think between the red clover, the rape, it's working quite well, so it is. There's other than that, it's just silage in the diet feeder, and pack her to the lugs and put it into them. And we are feeding our first cut silage to them, which we've seen was 69% DM. We're also back far enough in the pit now where we're getting quite a large chunk of last year's silage. So there is a bit of, probably the best way of putting it is, choice material to keep the barrier scrapped out every other day, because if it's not good enough, they won't eat it regardless. I think Liv is going to have to move them on another bit on the rape. So we get this diet feeder filled in and we get head into them. Liv is singing away there to the song, as you can see there, packed to the rafters with silage. And that's probably one of my favourite things when we're both diet feeding, is both listening to the same radio station and we'd be singing and waving the hands at each other. So yeah, it's quite nice. So it is. While Liv is putting that in, I'm going to look after me chickens, and I have to grease the schaffer and sharpen the shear grab. They're all things you do once a week. We do them on a Sunday. Today's a Sunday, and while the day feeder's being put in, you do them few jobs. Waste no time. So anyways, I'll go look after me chickens. Oh, and I also want to get a bucket of meal for going into the bulls next, because the bulls are next for feeding. So yeah, keep at it. So we're just feeding the first of the bulls. So I have the meal put in with the teleporter, and I got my chickens fed. But I have to sharpen and grease the schaffer yet in the bucket. But so what goes into the finishing ration? So our finishing ration has always been calculated on 50 bulls. That's usually what we have in a pen, but all the pens are less than 50 at the minute. A few went for the shop, a few have gone. The feeder we're filling now is for the timber shed. Well, based on our calculations always done on 50 bulls. So what they're getting is 250 kilos of winter wheat whole crop, 250 kilos of second cut silage, because it's a better silage, and 250 kilos of maize. They're also getting 200 kilos of rolled barley, 50 kilos of beans, which we increased to 75 kilos after weighing them, because we want to see extra weight gain on them, because our daily weight gains were just under that kilo mark, and where I want to see them is up at 1.5, and that's where we used to have them when we were buying in meal for feeding. But it's a lack of protein. The cattle in general, they're fat, they're all of that, but they're just not putting on the weight, and weight is protein. Protein is muscle growth. So we've increased our beans to increase the protein. You're also given 100 kilos of oats and beans, again to try and get more beans into them, get more protein into them. And that's in the heel of the hunt, and minerals as well. And that's what's going into our finishing diet for finishing our cattle, and that's per 50 bulls. So it's in or around that. We change as we go depending on how cattle seem to be feeding. Some days cattle they lick a trot clean, and then maybe you bed them with a real nice bale of barley straw, and then they don't eat as much the next day, or you might weigh them and then they might need as much, or things happen, and sometimes they as much. Maybe Eric does the day feeding and he doesn't do it maybe the right amounts, and you end up with too much. So you're always chopping and changing a little bit just to aim for them just out but not fully out when you go to feed them again. But that's what's going into the bulls. So just about have this diet feeder full, and that's one of the things I absolutely love about the schaffer and the Wiley grab, is it has literally, quite literally, one bucket, one grab of silage, one grab of whole crop, one grab of maize in, and you're done. You have all you need put into it. If I need more whole crop, it's half grab or a little grab or whatever. That over the teleporter, you'll be going with maybe 2 grabs or 3 grabs of each just to get that kind of weight. You will get a big enough of a grab at the telly, but you have to be dead on perfect going into it. The only downside to the Wiley shear grab is it's not a shear bucket, and we can't pick up the meal, so that's why I have to use the telly to put in the meal. But it's doing a fantastic job in the maize, and on the whole crop it's not letting any through it, so like I can't really fault it at all. And of all the shear grabs, seen quite a few shear grabs on the going around the country and on pit faces and that, and it is quite a nice shear grab. Seems to be very well built. The schaffer is just a lovely powerful tool for this job. Definitely want something like it, and a big shear grab too. And just while I'm on that subject, big thank you to Fulton's, I think I'm on another one. Big thank you to Howard Fulton's for leaving the schaffer with us for so long and sending us down the Wiley shear grab, so I can really get an appreciation for how much easier feeding is with a larger shear grab and a bigger machine. Just big thanks. If you're interested in either, because he's a stockist for the Wiley shear grabs too, you can check him out at hfultontractors.com. We've been dealing with Howard an awful long time. An awful long time. There's a lot of tractors in this yard over the years come out of his yard. But anyways, we finished filling this up. We'll let Liv go put it in, and I sharpen up the shear grab and grease down. So one thing I did forget to mention when I was talking about what we're feeding our cattle is our beet. Yes, our beet. Here we have what I chopped yesterday. So this is our sugar beet chopped. So it's just starting to lose its colour, and that's one of the things with beet. You only chop what you'd use in 2 or 3 days, no more, because it doesn't tend to keep when it chops, when you have it chopped. But the reason it's covered in straw is because of the starlings pulling stuff down on top of it. We should be feeding, if memory serves me right, 9 kilos of that per head to the cattle, but because all we have is that little bit there and that, we don't have a lot, we're only feeding to 1 pen. To try and make it last till we get more beet pulled, we're only giving about 2.5 kilos per head to 1 shed of bulls, which is the last shed that'll be going in. Again, it's getting the beet pulled every 2 or 3 days. You're like, geez, it's starting to dry up, the flood's going down, and then we get a big deluge rain. Last night we had a ferocious rain and the flood is back up down the bottoms, and I'm gauging it by the flood. When the flood is gone, I'm heading to the field with the harvester. We still have probably enough to do us another 2 weeks, tight, week and a half, 10 days. You can keep 1 pen on it. We should be able to see the difference between feeding it and not feeding it, if there is a difference. But yeah, that's the beet. And on the beet, when we're feeding 9 kilos of beet per head, we're to reduce the amount of maize and barley we're giving them, because they can only take in so much. Liffey Mill's done up our diet for us, so we told them everything that we had, and then they put together the concoction of what we needed and the different amounts to be able to maximize the cattle's performance. Anyways, I shear grab sharpened. We'll go grease it down now while Liv's putting in that diet feeder.
Your voice in the wind, asking me where I've been. I set my sail homeward bound, then my ship ran aground. I see your face in the sky, chasing stars in your eyes, drifting back to your heart. Every day we're apart. I know I'll see you soon. I'll find my way to you. I'll never give you up. Tell me if this is love. If this is love. Your tears in the rain. Now we're on again. I pray that you will shelter me. I will fight in your memory. I know I'll see you soon. I'll find my way to you. I'll never give you up. Tell me if this is love. If this is love.
So Liv is just putting in the last of the diet feeder there into them. The bulls, they're happy out. There's some lovely bulls there. Lovely square, lads. Just very nice now, very nice. But this is what our total mix ration looks like. You can see all the meal, you can see the bits of maize, all the different bits of meal, and then you see the beet usually rolls away. But that is the ration, that is the boys, and that is what we're feeding this year. Fully self-sufficient this year. It's going to be interesting to see when we start killing these boys, how are they going to perform. We are expecting to be back a little bit on weights and that from the previous years, but it comes down to cost efficiency. Is it more cost efficient to produce it all yourselves, make more money per animal, or spend more money per animal and have a heavier animal, if you get what I mean? So that's what we'll be looking into in the next video, which will be the first of the bulls going. The better do it in order, show you what we're feeding them, then when they go, and how much it costs to feed them, so that everything kind of plays into itself. But yeah, that's the boys, that's the ration. And just, I forgot, on the beet, it's 400 kilos to 50 bulls, so it's 8 kilos a head. That's what we should be feeding them. But on that was just a bit annoying, but what can we do? But the bulls are looking very well, they're ready to go. So it's just a matter of getting them off, start getting them going, getting them away. But yeah, no, I'm very happy. It's just very windy here. Yeah, there's the boys, and that is their ration, and they're happy out. So just put in a bale of silage there to the calves. Liv is here walking away from me. Who's that? Oh. Liv, all good? Happy out?
Cold.
Cold, yeah. So that is the bulls, that's everyone fed, that's what we're feeding them. Fully self-sufficient on all our own meal for the first time. So very interesting to see how these bulls do. For those of you wondering, so I know people say there's more cattle than there is feeding spaces. That's why we use a diet feeder and we make a TMR, total mixed ration. So every mouthful of food from the first to the last is the same. So whether the animal's the first at the barrier or he's in the barrier 2 hours time, it's the same mouthful of food the first one gets from the last one. That's why we use TMR. On the schaffer, I know people keep asking, have we bought it yet? Why have we waited so long? It's just a long demo, and for those of you wondering, we don't go out to look for demos. People come to us with machines they want us to demo for the sole purposes of videos, to have the machines and videos. And I'm more than happy to try out different machines because I absolutely love trying different machines, seeing what they're good for, what they're not good for, and things like that. It's one of the things I really do enjoy. One of the biggest perks of YouTube, and it's the best perk of YouTube for me, is getting to try out different machines. So that's just, if you're wondering, we don't go looking for demos. Demos come to us for the purpose of making videos, and it's my favourite part of being on YouTube. Yeah, that's it. So now it's just a matter of time waiting to see when the first bulls go. We're going to kill 2 load of bulls to have a bigger bit of a sample pool, see how they've done, and then start looking at the feed cost and whether it's worthwhile or not to be fully self-sufficient in meal. I'm pretty confident it is, because we've no meal bill this year. The meal bill is already paid before we start killing, so that's a big bonus. But anyways, we're going to leave it at that for this year, for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel. Videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday. That is it from me. Good luck.